you've been anywhere near T1 community, you've probably noticed that when Ashley Kang's name comes up, people get a little divided. Some people call her the GOAT and love her, and others straight up refuse to consume her content at all. They don't trust anything she posts. And honestly, it's not just one incident that caused it. It's been building for years. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Nikki. I am a variety streamer on Twitch and a ranter, yapper. I yap about things I care about. And in my last video, I mentioned the Ashley Kang incident as a reason why it would not be surprising if Keria's answers are a little bit PR. And a lot of people didn't know what I was talking about. So we're gonna talk about it today. For those of you that don't know, Ashley Kang is an esports journalist. She's well respected, she's highly liked, and she's done a lot of really great work bridging the gap between Korean League players and English speaking fans. And quite frankly, her interviews are pretty good. Her questions are always good. It seems like the players are comfortable with her. I respect her work a lot. But speaking as a T1 fan, there's a sizable group who feel that she can't fully be trusted. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about a few reasons why that is. Not to attack her, just to clarify why some fans feel the way they do. Many fans began to question Ashley's credibility after noticing a pattern of tweets or posts that leave out key details, which led to some misleading conclusions. One example came in 2023. She tweeted about T1 limiting one-on-one media interviews. She said that T1 had significantly reduced media access, allowing only one exclusive interview per day. Whereas other teams like Genji or DK would do like 4 to 8. She also mentioned that Horizon Esports, which is her outlet, hadn't had a single exclusive T1 interview for the entire split. The tweet's tone made it sound like T1 was being unusually restrictive or evasive. But then Joe Marsh, T1 CEO, responded saying, "You're leaving out very important context. The LCK changed their media rules. Only one 1v1 interview is required with outlets that meet LCK criteria, which Horizon did not." So it turns out, I guess, Horizon Esports at that time didn't meet the criteria that was set by the LCK. Also, the rule change wasn't T1's doing. T1 had discussions with the players and they decided there were just too many interviews. So what they did within Riot's guidelines is they released T1 Insider, which is their Q&A YouTube series where players will answer questions in a comfortable environment around T1 staff, and it's uploaded to their YouTube channel. I mean, that seems fair. They're busy. We should all know that at that point. They're busy. So I get that. Still though, her tweet kind of spread the idea that T1 was being shady. A few months after that, she tweeted about a major bug that was seemingly found in a game between T1 and Genji, where Aurelion Sol's ultimate didn't trigger after being eaten by Tahm Kench. This tweet was accompanied by a screenshot of the game mid-fight, so you can't really see what's happening, but reading the tweet, most people assumed that it was Keria's Tahm Kench that caused the bug, since he's well known for playing the champ, and the tweet didn't clarify otherwise. So people jumped on it, started flaming Keria, talking about how Keria's just exploiting bugs to win, that if it was something that would have happened to T1 instead of to Genji, then trucks would have turned into airplanes, and how T1 can't win without exploiting bugs. They just jumped on it and were flaming Keria. But it wasn't Keria who was playing Tahm Kench. It was Delight who was playing Tahm Kench, who devoured Chovy. So was that her fault that people jumped to a conclusion and reacted that way? Not really, but could she have clarified it in the tweet to prevent this misunderstanding? Yeah, probably. And from the looks of it, she didn't even clarify it at all. Her tweet after that was just saying that she wasn't sure if it would have changed the outcome. I don't see anything here of her correcting them, saying that it wasn't Keria playing Tahm Kench. I could be missing it, but it wasn't the first time something like this happened, so it kind of added a little bit more. You know, oh, this one's a big one. Well, this one's a big one, but the next one after that is a bigger one. Anyway, in 2024, T1 was dealing with non-stop DDoS attacks. They would load up into the game and they would disconnect. Then eventually they would load up to the game and anybody else in the lobby would disconnect.
내가 살아있다 아직. 아직 날 죽이고 가라. 무섭다.
They could not solo queue. They could not scrim. Nobody wanted to scrim with them. I mean, it makes sense. And then it even made it to the pro stage with at least one game where there was a long tech pause due to DDoS attacks. It was a problem. And after T1 lost 0-3 to HLE, Faker attended a post-match press conference and Ashley was there. On Twitter, I will never call it X, fight me. On Twitter, she posts, Faker says the fact that T1 players cannot play solo queue has impacted the team in terms of performance. That the situation has not been fair. Immediately, fans started saying that Faker was making excuses, that he was trying to discredit HLE for the win, trying to say that the only reason why HLE won was because of the DDoS attacks and not because they were the better team. They were basically making it sound like he was saying, yeah, no, we only lost because of the DDoS attacks. The tweet blew up. It blew up and the backlash was intense. Yo, this fucking guy. The problem is, Faker never actually said that in the way that she framed it. He was actually asked a question directly related to the DDoS, and he was answering it. The question was, do you think not being able to play ranked games has a big impact? And Faker says, in all honesty, in the short term in solo queue, in the short term, your performance doesn't drop due to lessened practice time. But because it's the preparation period for the playoffs, and it's not a short period, and there's also a few patch changes in play as well, in my opinion, it's true that we are having unfair chances at practicing. Outside of that, there are also a few times where we lost regretfully in the match today. What we can do moving forward, what's most important is that we will have to do our best to prepare with the remaining time, even if the practice environment is bad. So yeah, that's far from the only reason why HLE won is because of the DDoS attacks. That's far from it. He ended up actually having to apologize for something that people assumed he said based on her tweet that she didn't clarify because they trusted her tweet at face value. Now, by the time the rest of the interview that she translated was released, this tweet had already thousands and thousands of views. It's been retweeted by people who have thousands and thousands of viewers. I mean, you can't put that back in the box. It was already too late. She didn't apologize. Now again, it's not entirely her fault how people interpreted this tweet, but accuracy does matter, especially when you're dealing with a player's reputation. So there was definitely some missing context in that tweet. Adding to the frustration there, I have seen some people mention that she also tweeted about how the Chinese server wasn't affected by the DDoS attacks, which definitely led people to believe that it was Chinese people, players, or gambling organizations that were behind the attack. Apparently, she did delete the tweet and clarify herself later. However, again, she had already said all that. The damage had already been done by that point. Just another example, right? You gotta be careful what you say, especially if you have people looking at you. Bruh. This next one is tough. I don't want to talk about it. Oh my god, okay. I'm only mentioning this to drive home what some T1 fans speculate as a pattern of questionable choices and moral judgment. So during LCK 2024 Summer Split, just a few months after the DDoS tweet where Faker had to apologize, T1 lost to Gen G. Now this game, they lost in large part due to several mistakes that Faker himself made. And a video was taken. It was on someone's cell phone of a very vulnerable moment for him after the loss. I'm not going to show it. It's just so intrusive. It does not belong on YouTube for clicks. So please do not go looking for this video because whoever does have this up for clicks and attention doesn't deserve it. So this video, it depicts Faker slamming his head on the wall a few times before Gumayushi stops him. Again, please do not give the people who are exploiting this very vulnerable moment for clout any of your time. A lot of people were saying that Ashley Kang was the first person to share this video on Twitter, which she promptly took down thanks to pressure from the comments. It's unclear who took it, but it was definitely not a main broadcast video, so she either had to go looking for it or she had to have been sent it. But either way, she allegedly was the first person to tweet about it before people came for her in the comments, and then she took it down. Even if it was unintentional, posting something like that, it just felt like it crossed the line to a lot of people. Recently, Ashley Kang appeared on a Korean broadcaster's YouTube channel discussing what was called the truth behind T1's media suppression. She had claimed that she was blacklisted after reporting on some controversies like the private Discord incident involving owner back in 2022 and then also the DDoS coverage in 2024. In short, she says that T1 pulled her interview access after she reported on internal issues, that Joe Marsh personally asked her to apologize for hurting the family's reputation, that she refused, saying that would violate her journalistic ethics, that she had been denied interview access even when other outlets still got them, that Riot later stepped in and her access was partially restored, and she insists that she will still report on T1 fairly, but that she only wants equal treatment. She argues that this isn't just about T1, but it's about protecting journalism from being tamed by organizations that will punish critical coverage and reward positive coverage. She says she's not anti-T1, but she's pro-journalism. Many debated whether denying her interviews or blacklisting her was actually silencing journalists, or if it's just the consequences of her habit of tweeting things out of context and causing misunderstandings that affected the reputation of their players, with some even saying that she wants to protect journalistic integrity when there's more than one situation where she seemingly created controversy for the purpose of engagement. Some also thought the timing was a little suspicious, stating that she chose a time to reveal this information when Joe Marsh was at his weakest public standing because he was surrounded by other controversies like the Zeus controversy and the Guma Smash situation. I do want to point out this whole situation kind of highlights a bigger issue with journalism as a whole. Journalists are walking a tightrope between accuracy and attention, and of course the industry rewards engagement, and when you're working fast and you're trying to get the news out, it's easy to frame something in a way that's technically correct but still gives the wrong impression. So even though these examples involve Ashley Kang, and this whole video was me trying to explain a little bit about the reason why T1 fans are not quite fond of her, it's not about her alone if you look at the big picture. Having said that, when you look at these incidents one by one, they might not seem that bad. But when you put them together, you kind of start to see why T1 fans are cautious. I'm not saying that she has some kind of agenda or some kind of grudge against T1. And again, I actually respect what she's done for the scene in general. But journalism, even esports journalism, lives and dies by context. And sometimes what you don't say can be just as impactful as what you do. And for many T1 fans, that's where the trust broke. So yeah, that's why some T1 fans don't trust what Ashley Kang says. You don't have to agree with any point at all, but at least now you know a little bit about the context behind some of the comments you might see. And to be super clear, this video is not meant to attack her or send anyone after her. Please don't. Don't go harass her or spam her online or any of that. I just wanted to lay it out for you to clear up the situation so everybody can have a more informed take. And the next time you see a tweet, not just from her, please read the source before you jump to a conclusion. Like if this could happen to Faker. I realized while I was editing this video that I never included my opinion. I know, it's a noob mistake. I'm sorry. So just pretend like I don't look like a bum ass right now. I'm not about to do the whole video over again for the 4th time, okay? So please just bear with me. Well, that needs more creamer. Oh my gosh! My pants match my mug! I match my mug. I have toddler snot on my shoulder. I'm a mess. I think it's pretty despicable to intentionally misrepresent information in order to generate revenue or attention or whatever it is. However, I do think that it is really easy to accidentally misrepresent information. How many times have you said something and then once you said it, you're like, that sounded different in my head? It happens. But usually when that happens, you say, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it like this. This is what I meant. Usually when you make a mistake, you apologize. I don't know what the intent was in these cases. Maybe there's a reasonable explanation. I just think that to be someone who is respected and trusted as a reporter, it doesn't matter what type of reporter, you have to have a certain level of honesty and integrity and accountability. So maybe it was a little bit harsh. Listen, I don't know her personally. She seems super nice. It seems like the players are really comfortable with her, and that's really important. But at the same time, that's separate from the issues that we're talking about here. My thoughts all summed up all together. First situation, her tweet saying that T1 was limiting media access. And I don't know if she tweeted that out as Ashley Kang a person or as Ashley Kang a journalist, as if she was like, this is news, everybody should know, or if she's just saying this isn't fair for me. I don't know. But ultimately, it seemed like she didn't maybe have all the facts. And if that's the case, I didn't see anywhere where she's like, oh yeah, okay, well that makes a lot of sense. Sorry, I didn't know that. Either way, that seems like it could be an honest mistake. Issue number 2, the T1 Keria tweet. Yeah, so if I were her, I could easily see myself assuming when writing the tweet that people would know what I was talking about. On the other hand, I'm not a journalist, so I'm not reporting things as news. And there's 2 different Twitter accounts, one for Horizon Esports and one for Ashley Kang, but it seemed like the Horizon Esports Twitter feed was just all reposts of her tweets. So I don't know if she's operating as both, like at all times, because are her tweets personal tweets or are her tweets supposed to be reporting? Because that's different, right? I think it would be easy for her to think, cool, send tweet, this is what's happening, without all of the information. Not assuming that people would misconstrue the information and automatically flame Keria and T1 as if it was like something that they did on purpose. Again, it's not really her fault that people jumped onto that conclusion, but at the same time, you have to be a little bit more careful about what you're saying when people look to you for information. People are going to trust what you say. People did trust what she said. It's not that what she said was false, it just was incomplete. So people made a conclusion without having all of the facts presented to them. I think it was just a little bit careless on her part, which is an honest mistake, I would think. But again, there was no tweet that I saw that really clarified, or I don't want to say apologize, because on one hand, I don't know if that's something to apologize for. It would be easy to say, just to clarify, it was not Keria, it was Delight, who was Tom Kent. Moving forward, I'll make sure to include every piece of information. I don't think that's that hard to do, but the only thing I saw that was clarified by her was that she wasn't sure if it would change the outcome of the game, which is either here nor there, okay? That's just kind of like another innocent mistake, question mark, at the end of that sentence, but that's 2, right? The DDoS situation, that one makes me really mad, actually. The more I think about it, the more frustrated I get, because I don't think a single person who didn't actually watch the interview assumed anything other than he was saying that they lost because of the DDoS attack. I honestly think that's the only reasonable conclusion you can come to given the information that you have when you first see the tweet. Because let's just say you watched the game, or even you didn't watch the game but you knew they were playing and you knew that they are suffering DDoS attacks and you knew that they lost, and you go to Twitter and you see the situation is unfair. What are you gonna think? He obviously just lost the game. He obviously is at a press conference. That's obviously an answer to a question. What kind of questions do you think that they're gonna be getting? It's not out of the norm for journalists to pick out the most intriguing or juicy, clickbaitable quote out of the whole thing to get engagement. And the problem with that in this situation is it wasn't like, here's the original tweet and here's the rest of the interview, like translated by her. It was like, here's the tweet, oh, by the way, the rest of the interview will come later. So they didn't even have an opportunity to get the context from her that she left out. And then after that, the only subsequent tweets I was able to find from her were, they've been dealing with this issue for a while. And also another one was like, hot take, the DDoS issue should have been fixed a while ago. So it never addressed the comments that were coming for him as if he was using it as an excuse or downplaying HLE's achievement. So does she think that she did anything wrong? I don't know. And now at this point, personally, I'm starting to question kind of everything. I would think that after the Tom Kent situation, she would say, okay, well, now I know that people are so willing to jump to this type of conclusion. Maybe I need to make sure I put all the information that's needed to make an informed conclusion in the tweet. Will that generate as much traction or as much engagement? I don't know, but does that matter in the grand scheme of things? Maybe to her it does. To me, I would think not. To me, it would be more important to make sure that people were well informed about what's going on versus to make sure that I get my name out. I mean, I guess that kind of sounds weird considering that I'm saying all this on a YouTube video. And then of course I'm like and subscribe and come watch me on Twitch and all this other. I mean, I'm not a journalist. I don't have that type of responsibility. You know what I mean? If you are a journalist, you have responsibilities. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take. But yeah, so Faker ended up apologizing and I thought that was a load of the backlash he got from it, and then how much in Korea that type of thing matters. Like, they pride themselves a lot on like respect. It's not surprising that he apologized. It's surprising that he's the only one that apologized. It's surprising that he had to apologize, because in another world, if all of the context was put in the tweet, how many people would make the same assumption? How much fault lies with the journalist? And then that goes back to my question as whether she's acting as Ashley Kang the person or Ashley Kang of Horizon Esports, because are they separate? Because of course, as an individual person, tweet to your heart's content, do whatever you want. But as a journalist, if you are being looked at as a source of information, and I know there's gonna be people in the comments like, girl, you too serious, it don't mean that much. But it does. These are people's lives, and it's not even just about the game itself. It's like, as a whole, behavior in general. I don't know. Maybe it's too much to think that people like should conduct themselves with integrity and accountability. I don't fucking know. Is that weird? Anyway, it's not surprising that he apologized. Did it make me mad when I saw that? Absolutely it did, because what did he do wrong in the situation? Like, literally all he did was candidly and honestly answer a question that was asked of him about the DDoS situation, which arguably people would tilt off the planet if it happened to them in their ranked games or their solo queue games. You're expecting Faker, whose career is playing League of Legends professionally, make it make sense. Of course he's gonna be upset about it. It just blows my mind. Like, someone can say, oh yeah, no, it kind of sucks we can't practice, and not have that mean, oh, HLE, they only won because freaking, like, it's not them not taking accountability for their loss, like some people are making it sound. It's not them like trying to come up with excuses for why they played bad. Excuse me, have you ever watched T1 play? Like, they play bad sometimes. They don't need an excuse. Come on now. This isn't new. They lose often. Oh my gosh. Just because they be winning worlds all the time, hooray for the three-peat, doesn't mean that they're new to losing. Anyway, the person that originated the whole thing to this date has never come out to say, oops, my bad, sorry, I didn't include the actual question. I only included part of the answer, not even the whole answer. Seeing that kind of made me lose a little bit of respect for her. I will also say that if this had happened to any other player and I was made aware of it, I would still be mad, okay? I would still make a video about it. I'm a T1 fan, so all the things I see are mostly about T1. So that's why I talk about them. This is my channel where I talk about things I like. I'm not trying to be like, oh, T1, get those clicks. No, I literally could not care less how many clicks I get. I don't have friends to talk about things like this about, okay? I don't leave the house. I got toddler snot on my arm, okay? Jesus. Let me freaking yap, and if you don't like it, you can just scroll away. Actually, this is not a short. This is gonna be an actually long form. So you could click away, down like it, block my channel. I don't know. I don't care. I just want to make the point that I'm not view farming or click whatever kids these days say. I don't know. All I'm saying is I made a video, people ask questions, and I'm trying to answer it, and now I'm yapping again. Anyway, Moving on. Do I need to actually talk about this? The next one was the self-harm video, which may not be that big of a deal to some people. I think some people, they don't care. And that's fine. You don't have to. But I just think if someone sees that video and thinks right away that they need to share it, that other people need to see it, that it's news for some reason, kind of makes me sick. I'm not gonna lie, because you're watching a person, like an actual person with feelings. They're definitely having a hard time. If you have feelings, that should kind of make you feel bad, right? There's no benefit. There's no need to know of that. He didn't hurt anybody else. He didn't like start throwing punches at Guma, in which case I would think, okay, yeah, that's probably important information for everybody to see or know, because that's like a crime. In my mind, I think there's no value added to the scene or the community by releasing that or sharing that or posting it for attention at all. If someone looks at that and just like immediately thinks this is good juicy news, I just have to question who you are as a person, because I don't want to support someone who doesn't respect people as people. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know, it just makes me feel so sad for the world that someone could say, and maybe I'm just so naive and sheltered to think that people will look at that and say, oh my god, we should not be seeing this. Obviously, I feel so bad that it got to that point for him with all the stress and everything and the DDoS, and this is after like a few months after the DDoS, so of course he's like, okay, now I can't say anything because people are gonna misconstrue what I say because of tweets like the last tweet we were talking about. And then of course, like, we still can't practice and we still are losing, and I have all of this stuff riding on my shoulders, and I'm supposed to be the GOAT, and I made the mistake to lose the game that was totally winnable. I'm supposed to be the one that people look up to. It got to that point that all he could do was what he did. It makes me so sad, because what happens if that tweet never went out originally? You think that would just take a little bit of pressure off of him? I think maybe that would not have happened. And then it makes me even more sad that he can't even have that kind of break in private without people posting it and tweeting it under the guise of, oh my god, look, how sad is this? Retweet and like, follow me. Let me clarify that I don't know for sure if she's the one who first posted it. I do remember seeing it when it first came out, and I vaguely remember it was from her, but you can't really trust your memories all that well, right? So I'm just gonna say disclaimer, the only proof I have is from what I see people saying, okay? Of course, this is not a new tactic. I mean, in today's day and age, how do you stand out? But at the same time, why stoop that low? The next one is she went on the podcast. A similar thing happened again in 2024 after she wrote about T1's DDoS issue, quoting Faker, who shared how disruptive it was. She says that she enjoys T1 streams, but it is a big deal if a top team gets their practice disrupted because of DDoS. So she reported on that. She noticed that some fans were saying that Faker was using DDoS issues as excuses for poor performance, but it was that the players were expressing that the things were tough for them. She thought it was good for the players to express concern, but T1 demanded a public apology or else she'd be blacklisted again. Despite 15 plus other media outlets reporting the same thing, Ashley was the only one punished. She believes the resentment stems from the 2022 article. She contacted Joe Marsh and asked him, is this true? I heard that you want a public apology. He said, I need to see you apologize publicly, otherwise there will be no more T1 interviews. He said my article hurt them. She says the pressure to apologize felt like psychological conditioning. Even after refusing, she kept applying for interviews and got denied repeatedly. Unlike other outlets, she concludes, I'm risking everything by speaking out. After MSI 2024, she kept applying for interviews but got nothing, which was unprecedented, with only hers getting denied while others were accepted despite other outlets talking about the DDoS issue. Ashley reflects on how difficult the decision was emotionally. She thought she might have to quit, but even if T1 blacklists her permanently, now she feels at peace. This ain't about losing access to interviews, about her identity as a journalist. That's why she went public. She saw the Zayas video, so she decided to speak up. She still supports T1 players even if the org has silenced her. She criticized T1's PR for filtering even reasonable questions under the guise of protecting players. Ashley believes media should be used as a tool, as in traditional sports, and that players deserve to speak freely. Ashley worries that worst case scenario is not just blacklisting but personal or legal attacks due to Korea's strict defamation laws. She considers returning to programming, her first career, but the idea of leaving esports not by choice but by force feels soul-crushing. But she states that if she kept such a matter buried deep inside, making small compromises just to survive, it would eventually eat away at her identity as a journalist. I think there was a response to this. I don't want to get too much into it because this is a whole other topic, right? This is a topic about media suppression. The reason why I'm including it is because people are questioning a few things about it. One, the timing. When it comes to this, it's suspicious that she waited until that specific moment to report that information. But at the same time, is it strategic or was it just coincidence? I don't know. How many happy accidents are there before it's an intention? Two, she mentions multiple times about journalistic integrity. I myself am one of those people who are like, so your journalistic integrity kicks in when it has to do with you getting access to T1 players, but not when it comes to what you're tweeting out. Also, she mentions the DDoS situation as if she reported on it fairly in the first place. The problem stemmed from the one tweet that she tweeted out of context. So I don't think it's unreasonable at all for them to say, nah, you need to apologize. But she's saying that that's psychological conditioning. Is it? Am I tripping out? Is that wrong for them to be like, no, you need to apologize. You misrepresented what he said and caused all of this backlash. Why would we want to give you any more, like... And then also the fact that she's saying I need to quit because T1 won't give me interviews. Like, I don't understand. T1's not the only organization in the entire world. I mean, yeah, they're more popular, but like if your career as a journalist lives and dies on T1, then I don't know what to tell you. Despite 15 other media outlets reporting the same thing. Well, they started with you. No? Am I crazy? Am I just making an assumption that it started with her? Maybe. But this reminds me of like, you're at the store with your parents and you're like, oh, mom, can I have those really expensive shoes? And they're like, no, we don't have money, or no, you haven't been getting good grades at school. Oh, but little Jimmy has those shoes. It's unrelated to you. It doesn't matter what all these other 15 outlets are doing because we're talking about you. Yeah, so if that were the case and he was like, yeah, no, you need to apologize, good. I'm glad. I'm glad that he said that to her then for the DDoS situation, because that was absolutely a cluster of her doing. Whether it was intentional or not is like, that's my opinion. And for her to be like, he's conditioning me psychologically, I'm risking everything. Maybe it's like they're such a big org that if you're blacklisted from them, you're blacklisted from everyone. She does mention something about how the player should be able to speak freely. I kind of don't even want to address that because why do you think they can't say things freely? And if you're getting mad at the organization because they can't say things freely, I think you're looking in the wrong direction. I think that wraps up my thoughts on it. Many of my issues come from the fact that I don't know if she's separating herself personally from herself as a journalist. There's a lot of things that I'm seeing that conflates the two because a lot of things she's viewing as a personal attack. If we're talking about journalism, it's not really about you personally, right? It's about you as a journalist. And if you as a journalist are not providing enough information for people to know the whole story, then what are you doing? Anyway, so what do you think? Do you think that T1 fans have a reason to be upset with her, or you think all of this is just being blown out of the water? I would really like to know what other people's perspective is because I'm looking at it from the bias of a T1 fan, obviously. And if I missed anything, I wouldn't put it past me. Please let me know, leave it in the comments. If you would like me to unpack or talk about another situation or another topic, please feel free to leave that in the comments as well. Also, if you would like to talk about this live, I stream on Twitch every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 8 p.m. PST. So come hang out. We can talk about this, we can talk about League or whatever else. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope to catch you on the next one.